Morning, Coach Sid. Today's talk is going to be about exercise and how much is too much. I'll go through some of the guidelines that you're going to want to think about when you're starting to get fit, if you're already fit, because we're talking about optimizing hormones, and when you're setting a goal that might be counterproductive to your vitality, longevity, and to have the most optimized hormones so that you can be your absolute best. Okay, here it comes. If you give it a watch till the end, let me know. Let me know where you're watching from. Comments are always welcome. Take care. Now, the subject of today's conversation. This applies to all ages, but especially to my peers, 40 years old and above. And some parts of this really apply to the men in my audience. Let's get started. 1. How much training is too much and becomes counterproductive, detrimental to optimizing our hormones? Now, fellas, we're talking testosterone, which according to most studies peaks in your early to mid-20s. And then after that, it's supposed to be a steady decline. But I'm here to tell you that's not necessarily true. As recently as 2024, when I last did blood tests for testosterone, I had the average of a 25-year-old, and I was 61 at the time. So don't let statistics fool you. It's a result of your intelligent efforts, your diet, and your sleep hygiene. Let me repeat that. In order to optimize your hormones, this is for everyone, you must have consistent sleep hygiene, high quality sleep, which means going to bed and waking up at nearly the same time, mostly. Nothing is perfect. Because during deep and REM sleep, especially, that is when the body renews itself. That is when a male's body produces its testosterone to get you back up to the heights you need in the morning. Now, if you're doing aerobic training, how much is too much and how much is assisting you in your proper functioning? So, what I tell men, especially men, is that if you're doing too much at too high an intensity and too frequently, you will find that in the mornings, you are not experiencing the same sequoia effect that you should be experiencing. Now, I'm talking wood and I'm talking wake up time. So let's say you're training for a marathon and your body will tell you when you started to go past your limits of recovery because 1, your sleep won't be as good, your sleep quality will degrade, and 2, you will not wake up 5 mornings plus a week with that morning surprise. You know, the one that your wife is so happy about you getting fit. You know, it makes her very happy that you're taking good care of yourself. So, how do you know when it's too much? It's individual. A chart doesn't just tell you, and it's not one size fits all. What I find is that when I'm training for even a half marathon, I have to be very careful once my weekly running load goes over a certain number of miles or kilometers, because after that, I start to feel a little sluggish in the morning, you might say. And that's when I know, let's get to bed earlier, let's make sure we're eating enough protein, let's make sure we're not eating too many sweets and desserts, things that can raise our insulin and diminish our production of HGH and testosterone. So these are things that you want to consider. Now, if you're committed and you have to train for it, just keep in mind, if you're over 30, you're not 25. So I'm not saying you'll lose it forever, but you're making a sacrifice to do an extreme sport. So for me, when I'm telling people how to maximize their effectiveness as men in maturity, so that as you near retirement, you're at the peak of your powers. You know, you're going to want to know some of the things that I'm sharing. Okay? Now, we talked about what is going to keep your hormones in an optimum state. 1, doctor sleep. 2, don't overtrain. Not too much high intensity and not too frequently. If you're having a high intensity workout, whatever your age, you should limit the duration so that you do just enough to spark hormone secretion like HGH. It'll shoot up through the roof. But if you overdo it, you'll start releasing cortisol and you'll start to dampen the benefits that you're gaining through the workout. Thirdly, what you eat. If I come off of a high intensity workout and then I have like pastries and croissants and all that and like 1 or 2 eggs, I'm going to dampen or even halt the release of HGH because my insulin's going to shoot up. Okay, so just like overtraining will get the cortisol too high and interfere with the benefits we're trying to grasp and then maintain, okay, what you eat after your workout may help to determine whether or not you're going to be on a progression where you're getting better during your recoveries. Okay?